From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Guys, so I think we may be ready. We've got people coming in. We're so excited about this.
So our first author, Lisa Yee's first novel, Millicent Min, Girl Genius, won the Sid Fleischman Award for Humor. Her other novels include Stanford Wong Flunks Big Time, So Totally Emily Ebers, and her debut young adult novel, Absolutely Maybe.
And she's here today to share the story of Kanani from the newest American Girl book, Aloha Kanani.
Do you guys know American Girl?
All right. Now, 10-year-old Kanani loves living in beautiful Hawaii, and she especially loves sharing the wonders of her island home with her visitors.
So when her cousin Rachel from New York comes to stay with her for a month, Kanani is excited to get to know her. But no matter what she does to help Rachel feel at home, it only seems to make her unhappy instead.
Can Kanani find a way to connect with her cousin? Well, let's find out. Please welcome Miss Lisa Yee.
Hey. Hi, everyone. I threw a miss in there without. Okay. So you guys know that I'm an author, right? I mean, that's like pretty. Well, I'm going to tell you something kind of shocking. So are you guys very brave? People are not, you brave? Okay, because this is going to be, like when I tell you this, you're going to say, no, there's no way this is possible. But before I was an author, I used to be something else. Are you ready? Okay, take a deep breath, because this is going to be really shocking. Are you ready? Before I was an author, I used to be a kid. I know, you're like, there's no way. How could that be? You know what? This is the even stranger thing. Some of your parents used to be kids too. I know, you're looking at them, it's like, how is that even possible? That's not possible. So here's the thing. I wanted to be an author so bad when I was a kid that I never told anybody about it because I was afraid that if I said it out loud, I might jinx it or that somebody might make fun of me and laugh at me, and I didn't think I could stand it. So all through school, all growing up, I never told anyone, and it wasn't until I became a mom that I realized that I was being a hypocrite. Does anyone know what a hypocrite is? A hypocrite is someone who says one thing and they do something else, right? And so I was a mom and I was telling my kids that if you have a hope or a dream or there's something that you really want to do, you owe it to yourself to try it. You know, you might succeed or you might fail, but you have to try it. So how could I tell my children that when I had this dream when I was a kid to write books and I wasn't doing a thing about it? So I started writing books and I was lucky enough to get them published. And then one day I got a phone call and it was really strange. It was from someone from American Girl. And they called me and they said, we would love for you to write a historical novel for us. And I said, well, you know what, I don't write history and thank you very much and I'm really busy and I can't do it. But I was curious, what was the era? And this is more for the adults because I think this is really funny. The era was 1976. I know, that's historical. Apparently like 30 years means historical, so I'm historical. We have a lot of history here. So that book was called Good Luck Ivy, and it was set in San Francisco in 1976. Then a short time later, I got another call, and somebody said, well, would you write our 2011 Girl of the Year books? And I said, okay, well, where's it going to take place? And they said, well, it'll probably take place in Hawaii. And I'm like, oh, Hawaii. Would I need to go there to research? And they said, yes, you would have to go to Hawaii. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. Has anybody ever been to Hawaii? Oh, wow. Well, so you know what it's like. I mean, it's gorgeous there, right? So I went to Hawaii, and I was told that the story could be about anything as long as it was about a girl from Hawaii. It could be any island. There should be an animal in the story, and that she helps out with her parents' business. So I thought, okay, well, what animal am I going to have in this story? And I started researching again, and I came up with the monk seals. And there are only 1,200 monk seals left in the whole world. So I thought that Kanani would have a monk seal. So what I'm going to do for you right now is I'm going to read from Aloha Kanani. And in this story, this girl is growing up on the island of Kauai. She has never actually been off the island before. And she has her cousin Rachel come visit her from New York City. How many of you guys have been to New York? So like everyone, okay, so you know that like New York City and Hawaii, they're like totally different, right? I mean, they're totally different. And Kanani thought that Rachel and she were gonna have a lot of fun and Rachel was gonna love the islands, but you know what? Rachel was really sad because she missed her mom. Her mom was getting remarried, and so she was like kind of glum. And so Kanani was sad also that she and Rachel weren't getting along that well. So one day, Kanani decides to go for a walk with her dog named Barksy. And she's walking by herself, and she's thinking about Rachel, and this is what happens. As they neared the entrance to Alina Cove, Kanani attached Barksy's leash to his collar. Soon they were jogging along the shore. Sometimes the water looked emerald green, sometimes turquoise blue. Today, it was both. With Barksy trotting alongside her, Kanani hummed and did some of the hand gestures she had learned at hula lessons. She loved it when they had the beach all to themselves. It was her own private paradise. But suddenly, Kanani stopped. They weren't alone after all. Kanani tightened her grip on Barksy's leash. In the distance, on the rocky shore of the cove, something big and gray lay near the shore. Kanani squinted. Was it? Could it be? Come on, Barksy, she said. What is it? She thought it was a monk seal. When Kanani neared the surf shack, her best friend Selena was there with her brother. Selena, Kanani shouted, there's a monk seal hauled out in Alina Cove. Can you help? She handed her brother the Barksy's leash, and then she and Selena took off for the cove. Where is it? Selena asked as they scampered over the rocks to the small, secluded beach. Over there, Kanani pointed to a long gray shape that lay stretched out on the sand. As they drew closer and closer, they slowed down, and they both stared. I can't believe it, Kanani stammered, shaking her head. Selena snorted, that's your monk seal? Lying on the sand with the waves gently washing over it was a fat, gray tree trunk. Kanani's shoulders slumped. I really thought it was a seal, she faltered. I mean, there have been sightings nearby recently, and well, I was just so sure. Well, from far away, it looks like a seal, Selena consoled her. I am so embarrassed, Kanani moaned. Don't worry about it, Selena told her. Actually, it was sort of nice coming down here, just the two of us, you know, without your cousin. I mean, she's okay and everything, but I miss spending time with you, like in the old days. Okay, so later on, Kanani she is so embarrassed because she saw this thing that was a log, and she thought it was a seal. So she and Rachel had been fighting and, you know, her cousin and not getting along, but she thought, well, maybe if I take Rachel to my beach, my private beach that's kind of like my special place, Rachel will cheer up. And so this is what happens the next day when she takes Rachel to that same beach. And also, you need to know that there's a boy in the story. His name is Pika, and Kanani can't stand Pika. After a short hike along the narrow, winding trail, Kanani helped Rachel up the rocks that led to the secret entrance of Alina Cove. Here we are, she announced proudly. This is so beautiful, Rachel whispered, even though there was no one else around. Look how the water sparkles. It was true. The sun's reflection on the water made it look like diamonds sprinkled across a blanket of turquoise. How come you've never shown me this before? Rachel asked. It's a secret that only locals know about, Kanani explained. Too many tourists might ruin it. A frown crossed Rachel's face. Is that what you think of me, as a tourist? I didn't mean you, Kanani said quickly. That came out all wrong. What I meant was, I know what you meant, Rachel said stiffly. I know that you're forced to spend a month with me. That's not true, Kanani protested. Rachel bit her lip and looked away. My mom didn't want me on her honeymoon, and my dad's too busy with his job right now, and you don't want me here either. You'd rather be alone with your precious beach than have to drag me around. Kanani bristled. Rachel had no idea how hard she had been trying to make her feel welcome. Well, she retorted, you've made it very clear that you would rather be at an art museum or a ballet in New York than this boring little Hawaiian town. Well, you act like there's no better place than Mapuna, Rachel shot back. You should hear yourself. We have the most beautiful beaches. We have our own waterfalls. We have me. Kanani's voice rose. What about you and all your New York has the best restaurants, and New York has the greatest museums. Even your waterfalls are better. It must be torture to have to be here with a hick like me. I didn't have a choice, Rachel said. Her eyes were starting to tear up. No one asked me what I wanted to do. Just then, Barksy started barking. Both girls were too upset to pay attention to him. His barks became louder and louder as he strained at his leash. Finally, Rachel turned. What is that?" she asked, pointing in the direction of Barksy's barking. Kanani squinted at a large gray-brown lump in the sand. She hesitated. I think it's a monk seal," she stammered, "but it's so small." Quickly, she grabbed Barksy's leash and tied it to a palm tree so he wouldn't bother the seal. If it was a seal. It sure looked like one. The girls ran down the beach and stared. "It is a monk seal," Kanani said. "It looks very young and it's all tangled up." The seal had a net tightly wound around its body, and it wasn't even moving. "Should we try to get the net off?" Rachel asked anxiously. Kanani shook her head. No, we need to go for help. You stay here, okay? I'll go for help, but what should I do?" Rachel's voice wavered. "Please don't leave me. Make sure that nobody bothers the seal. I'll be back as soon as I call for help." Rachel looked worried, but she nodded. Kanani kicked off her flip-flops and raced along the trail to the pier. Finally, she spotted Pika near his father's boat. "Ooh, look at the surfer girl run," Pika teased. "Don't wipe out." Kanani tried to catch her breath. "There's a monk seal at Alita Cove," she gasped. "Yeah, I've heard that one before," Pika laughed. "Like yesterday when someone said they saw a monk seal and it was just an old tree trunk." "Well, this time it's for real," Kanani insisted, "and it's in trouble." Pika's mischievous grin slid off his face. "For real?" he asked. "Pika, I'm not going to make the same mistake twice." Kanani ran on. There was no time to argue with him. She needed to get help, and fast. So, you know what? It was really cool. When I was writing the book, remember I told you I got to go to Hawaii and research? So I got to hang out with monk seal people and see actual monk seals on the beach. And here's the thing. Everything that Kanani does in her stories, I had to do or I got to do. Like, Kanani's a surfer, so I learned how to surf. And I know you're looking at me like, I can't even imagine her surfing. I wasn't very good at it, but I learned how to surf. Kanani snorkels, so I snorkeled. Kanani knows how to hula. And one time we were at a luau. Has anyone ever been to a luau? You know what that is? And so they had all these people come on stage and learn how to hula, and I was with my American Girl editor, and I was sitting there laughing because they looked so funny, you know? And she said, "Okay, you go up there." I'm like, "I'm not going up there." And she said, no, you have to go up there. I said, "There's no way I'm dancing on a stage." She goes, "No, you have to go up there." And I realized it was part of my job to learn how to, I'm not gonna hula now, but I had to go up there and learn how to hula. But what's really cool is like when you write these books, like you're sitting in your office and you're just imagining things, and then they become real. For example, this is Kanani. So this is the Kanani doll. And so when I was writing about her, I was like, you know, describing the story, what she looked like and how she would have long hair. And she was going to be what's called hapa, which in Hawaiian, it's like half and half. So she's half Asian, she's half white, which is what my kids are. And so this is Kanani. And so the seal that I was reading about, there's actually a seal that goes with Kanani. Now I'm going to read some more to you. And let's see. Kanani's she's gonna stand right there, but if she jumps, that's okay, all right? So, in the second book, good job, Kanani. Kanani's cousin Rachel has gone back to New York, and Kanani's really excited because she gets to spend the rest of the summer with her best friend, Selena. How many of you guys have best friends? Some of you have. A lot of, okay, good, a lot of you have best friends. And so have you ever noticed that sometimes, like, you want to do something with your best friend, but your best friend maybe wants to do something else? And that's what happens with Kanani, because Kanani actually wants to spend the summer raising money to help the monk seals, but her best friend Selena, all Selena wants to do is surf. And Selena meets this new girl named Jo, who's a surfer also, and Kanani's feeling kind of funny because Kanani actually doesn't like to surf. And this is what happens when Kanani tries to surf. Reluctantly, Kanani got aboard from the surf shack and paddled away from the shore. "Hey, Kanani," Seth called out. He was her surfing instructor. "We've saved some of the best waves for you." "Look," Selena shouted. She pointed to a huge wave in the distance. Kanani felt her stomach turn over. Should she tell Selena how she felt? Seth locked eyes with Kanani. Are you ready, he asked. She gulped and nodded. Just remember not to tense up. You'll do great, he said. Don't tense up, don't tense up, don't tense up, don't tense up, Kanani reminded herself. She paddled ahead of the wave. When the wave was close, she crouched and began to stand. She made sure her feet were in the proper position as the wave began to carry the board in a swoosh. Don't tense up, don't tense up, don't tense up, don't tense up. Kanani felt the power of the wave beneath her as she rose and put her arms out for balance. The water carried her swiftly forward. She was nailing the ride. Feeling confident, Kanani turned to look at Selena and Joe, and that's when it happened. She felt her foot slip, and suddenly she was in the water. Churning and turning and turning under a wave. As she swam upward, the surging wave knocked her down again and again and again. In a panic, she swallowed a gulp of water. Struggling for air, she finally managed to break through the surface. Kanani blinked. The sunlight hurt her eyes. The water around her was calm and glistening blue, as if there had never been a monster wave. Kanani gasped for air as she swam to the board. Instantly, Selena was next to her. Are you okay? Selena asked. Kanani clung to her surfboard as Joe looked worried. I'm fine, Kanani snapped. Leave me alone. She was glad she was in the water so that Selena couldn't tell she was crying. As she paddled to shore, she could hear Selena calling to her, but she just kept paddling. So I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but I know that for me, I used to think, okay, if I do something, I imagine myself doing it, I'm gonna be so great the first time I do it. I took violin lessons when I was little, and I thought that I was gonna pick up the violin, I was just gonna start playing, and it was this beautiful music was gonna come out, and it sounded like rats being tortured, when I started playing. So Kanani was really disappointed because she thought she was gonna be a good surfer. So remember I told you that I took surfing lessons? So what I did is I had all these excuses because I'm really old and I've never surfed before. So I thought, okay, when my surf instructor comes up to me, I am going to tell him that I'm really old and that's why I'm such a bad surfer, right? So I have my story all ready and I have all my excuses. And my surfing instructor walked up to me and he was in his late 70s. I mean, he was, so I couldn't tell him that I was really old because he was really old. And it was really funny because he was very gruff. He's like, can you swim? I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay, get in the water. I'm like, so then when I was in the water, he was like, okay, do this, get up, surf. And I actually nailed several waves. I mean, it was shocking that I could do it. So I get out of the water after surfing, and I'm all happy because I could surf. And I knew that Kanani was going to be a bad surfer, and I remember running up to my editor and saying, I think maybe I'll change the story, and Kanani will love surfing, because I love surfing. And she's like, no, you can't do that. But also in Kanani's book, I had to decide, okay, what business do her parents have that Kanani's going to help work at? And I thought about shave ice. Has anyone ever had a shave ice? Okay, so isn't it, shave ice is so different. It's not like a regular snow cone, right? It's really smooth and delicious, and it's even lighter than snow, and it's sweet. So I said, what if Kanani's parents had a shave ice store, and then what if they also sold pastries, like cookies and things, and then what if they sold candy? And they said, okay, you can do that, but if you ever see a shave ice stand or a bakery or a candy store when you're in Hawaii, you're going to need to go there and research. And I said, okay, I can do that. So anytime I went, I would go, and I've had up to 6, shave ice in a day, and I was stuff myself full of candy. So it was really fun because all the research I did got to go in the book. Now I think we have a little bit of time left. Does anybody have any questions about writing Kanani or about Kanani at all, or Hawaii or any of the books? Yes. Can you come up here so I can hear you? Yes. Okay, really? I'm so old that I can't hear a thing. Okay. Oh, you got caught. He got caught under a wave. How did you feel when you were caught under the wave?
Pretty hard to get out.
It was pretty hard to get out. And then after you got out, did you try surfing again, or did you quit?
I wasn't surfing. I was just swimming out.
Oh, you were swimming.
And the wave pulled me back.
It is, yeah. So he's been caught under a wave too. It's pretty scary, isn't it? Because I also learned how to paddleboard. Do you guys know what paddleboard is? It's like a giant surfboard, and you stand on it. And so when I was taking my paddleboard lessons, you go out there and you stand on the board, but I had a really cute paddleboard instructor, so I kept looking at him and falling in the water, and it was like really embarrassing. So I'd be standing there, I'd be paddling, and I'd look at him and I'd fall in the water. So, you know, that happens sometimes too, but that's part of research. Are there any other questions, or that anyone can ask me about Kanani or Hawaii or writing or anything? Can anyone think of anything? Okay.
Sometimes do you not know what to write?
Oh, that's a great question. Sometimes do I not know what to write? A lot of times. Have you ever had something called writer's block, where you have to write a paper or something like that in school and you can't get started? I'm going to give you a hint. If you ever have to write something and you don't know how to get started, are you ready? It's going to sound gross, but it's not as gross as it sounds. If you have writer's block, you vomit on the page. And I don't mean like you actually, throw up, but you just write something down, and it's not your best writing or anything, but you write it down because then you can change it and you could revise it better. So I do a lot of vomiting on the page, but not the kind, the words kind. Here's another question over here. Yes. Oh, he's good.
Like writing?
Do I like writing? I like after I've finished writing. But yeah, I love writing, but you know what? It's like sometimes it's really painful, but then once I get started, I love to do it, and I love when I'm done writing. That's the fun part. Another question. Who has the person with the microphone? Oh, okay. You know what? We're all done. We ran out of time. If you want to email me through lisayee.com if you have a question or you want to tell me something, I would be glad to answer any of your questions. Thank you, everyone.
Took a nap with his shades on his face. They were his face.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.